Hi everyone, and welcome to Gary Venice's East Tennessee Real Estate blog. And my name is Gary Venice, and I wanted to talk today, finish out this week's theme of first-time home buying, some tips that for review of a mortgage process. You know, most first-time home buyers, when they sit down with a mortgage lender, get a real shock when they find out that the issues or perhaps how they've spent money in the past have come around to create problems for the mortgage lending process, and then they're unable to get a mortgage. And there's nothing more devastating for first-time buyers than to find out that they don't qualify for a mortgage. So I want to talk a little bit today about how that process works and the things that can be done, and I've got some tips I want to talk about. First thing is you should start probably 6 months to a year before you actually decide that you're going to purchase a home to start getting your finances in order. Two big keys to that are one is to create a budget, and not just a budget based on how you think you're spending money every month, but actually record or keep receipts for everything you spend and put that together, categorize it, and look at the areas where you're spending your money on a monthly basis. You ought to do this probably once for 1 or 2 months to get a good cross-section of how you're spending money. Now, I know that's a lot of work, but believe me, it pays dividends in the long haul. The second area, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but that is to be frugal and save as much money as possible while you're shedding debt. There's you know, you really have to dig in and cut your expenses and put as much away as you can. Keep in mind that mortgage lenders look at debt ratios when they're looking at your mortgage, and we'll get into more of that in a minute. One of the other things you might want to do is sit down with a mortgage lender, if you know one, or if there's someone that's recommended to you, and tell them what your plan is going forward in 6 months or a year, and let them talk to you about where you are today and the kinds of things that you can do that make your situation acceptable to a mortgage lender. And you're going to find that most mortgage lenders are happy to sit down and talk with you about that and sort of help you put that plan together. They understand that down the road, you know, they're going to be getting your business, so they're happy to do that. So let's talk a little bit about some to-do lists, or a to-do list on things that you want to work on. As I said, develop a household budget. Actually look at what you're spending, not what you think you'd like to budget for, but actually what you're spending. Keep track of everything that is going out, every dollar that's going out, including things like you know, the 2 or 3 times you may stop at a fast food place on any given week, just because it's easier and more convenient. Well, you know, at the end of the week you've spent $20 or $30 on that. That's $120 a month. I mean, things start to add up, and it really gives you it really does identify what's there. The next thing is we talked about earlier, get frugal. You really have to start looking at reducing your debt. Lenders generally look at your total income and debt ratio, and typically that's about 36% of your annual income is what they think you can afford relative to house payments, etc. Now, keeping in mind that mortgages are typically 25 to 28% of that 36% ratio to income, that gives you only 8 or 10% of flexibility for all the other things that you may be, the debt that's out there, credit card, car payments, student loans if you have any, etc. So that's need to be as frugal as you can and be really working on paying down that debt while trying to also put money aside for a down payment, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Look at ways to save. As I said, when you start looking at that budget that you've written down, everything you've spent for a month, all of a sudden you start to see categories where you can start picking and choosing things that, maybe it's better if I bag a lunch as opposed to stopping at that fast food place. And if you find yourself going to movies or out to dinner several times a month, maybe there's an opportunity to reduce some of that and work on it that way. So any way you can to save is will obviously be of a benefit down the road. Increase your income. There's twofold here, okay? Maybe it's time to, if you've been in a job for a while, maybe it's time to sit down and ask for that raise and say, hey, hey, here's my plan, here's what I'm doing. My work is such that I really think I deserve this, and then try to move forward with that. Saving for the down payment. Now, a lot of places say that the conventional wisdom is that you need to look for keeping or having 20% as a down payment. And while that is that's a great goal, the reality of it is if you're making $30,000 or $40,000 a year, and you're looking to buy a $80,000 or $100,000 house, if it's your first-time home buyer, as an example, you're talking about $16,000 to $20,000 in savings. Well, it doesn't take long to do the math to see that, if you're working on this as a one-year project, that may be a little uncertain. Now, and it may be that you want to continue with that plan and do 18 months or 2 years and look at pulling that savings together. In my mind, 10% is probably a more realistic number, especially in the market areas we serve, because we are a little bit more rural here, and there are rural development loans and USDA and THDA products that some of them are as low as 3 or 3.5% down. And in some of those cases, the seller might even pick up some of the closing costs. So there are some options there that are going to help that, I think. So while 10% or 20% is a great goal, I think 10% is probably more realistic as it relates to keeping a down payment. If you're in a job, stay there. There's nothing going to hurt you more than bouncing around from job to job. Lenders like to see you in a job at least 2 years prior to applying for that mortgage. So while it may not be the perfect job for you, sometimes you just have to suck it up and continue with that, at least through the qualification and buying process. And the other key to that is once you apply for a mortgage, spend nothing that isn't absolutely necessary. Don't think because you've applied for a mortgage or you've been approved even that now's the time to go out and buy that new bed or the furniture or whatever and start creating more debt, because just prior to closing they're going to review all that stuff again, and there's nothing more disheartening short of being turned down initially than to all of a sudden find out that because you were doing real well and then you went out and bought that new bed or living room set for this new house that you're real excited about, all of a sudden it's created problems. So just sit tight and, as I said, spend nothing that's not absolutely necessary over the course of that time while you're waiting to get to closing. If you haven't, if you've been doing everything with cash or haven't really established a credit history, go out and get that credit card. Use it sparingly, pay it off every month, establish good credit, and that'll help go a long way as well towards mortgage lenders seeing that you have a credit history and that you've been paying on it, working on it. I understand the mortgage process can be scary for a first-time buyer. You really need to rely on the mortgage lender you choose and your agent that you've been working with to help smooth that process over. They are the experts. You need to rely on them and let them help you through the process. That'll do it for today. I wanted to thank you for viewing this. If you're in the East Tennessee area and you're buying or selling a property, please contact me, and I'll be happy to help you. Again, my name is Gary Venice. I'm with ERA Blue Key Properties. I'm the principal broker here at the Spring City office. Our contact information is 423-365-2515. Good luck, and as always, myself and my staff are here to help you any way we can. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'd appreciate any feedback. Thank you.